Okay, so we are now, I'm calling to order the workshop meeting, which is immediately following the public hearing that we just had. We've already done the pledge to the flag and we've had the roll call with the same attendance. So I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that the town board accepts the agenda as prepared and amended by the town supervisor. We have printouts of the amended agendas for the board.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. So I'm going ahead and we didn't really have anything before, so I'm starting the meeting with our public comment portion of the meeting. In our workshop meeting, we only do one of these, so we're doing that at the start of the meeting. So this is time when members of the public can attend and comment to the town board in person or virtually. Just as a reminder, we asked that individuals addressing the board make their remarks to the board and not to members of the audience or engaging in a back and forth conversation. We have a practice of not responding to questions or comments during the public comment session, but we do have a town board member time immediately following this period where if a board member wishes to answer questions or address anything that's brought up in the public comment portion, we will. So you can stick around for that. But also just a reminder, once the public comment portion of the meeting is over, that adjourns the interaction or the ability to speak at our meeting. The rest of the meeting is reserved for the town board to workshop on some of the many things that we are working on currently. So with that, I open the public comment to the members who are here in person, and then I will open it to the people that are joining us virtually. We let everyone speak once before we let anyone speak again, and just try to remember to keep it to a reasonable amount of time so that everyone has a good chance to share what they'd like. So with that, is there anyone here who would like to address the board?
I'll go first. I'm Dave Roberts. I'm a resident of the town of Rochester for 10 or 11 years, resident of the Hudson Valley for 30. See my face. So I just want to talk. I want to talk about the noise ordinance. I apologize in advance. I just threw some notes together very quickly, but I think that this discussion is an opportunity for the community to decide collectively what level of noise is acceptable and unacceptable, and what we as individual homeowners and business owners would not tolerate from our neighbours. By doing so, we can address the diverse needs of our community. The implementation of a noise ordinance has the potential to promote community harmony. I think the basic tenet here is to do no harm. I've said before that in this forum, if I was a neighbour and I had someone come and live next door to me and they had a party one night, and that would be fine. But if they decided to do that every day of the week for 365 days a year, that would not be fine. We all know that there are levels of noise that are fine, that are okay to live with, and there's levels that aren't. And it's up to us as a community to decide, where that line is, so that we are not harming our neighbours. And that's true also if that neighbour happens to own a business and earn a living. It's still the same tenant. You're not going to do uncontrolled harm to someone else. By deciding as a community what is unacceptable, it makes the enforcement much easier. And this is really important. Often people just say, oh, call up your neighbour or talk to them, and often we will. But I've had personal experience of calling businesses that I go to and I enjoy. I have events, call them after midnight. I get put through to a manager I never get a response. It's very disrespectful and it's not a working model. So the noise ordinance also encourages responsible business practices and enhances quality of life. You know, we all know that excessive noise has been proven to adversely affect individuals' health. And oftentimes, you know, it's kind of a mindless and thoughtless habit of turning on the music or whatever it is without thinking. So this is an opportunity to make people think about the effects of what they do on others. In a perfect world, we rely on individuals being considerate to others. But by the example set by businesses and individuals so far, that's not a working model. And for the same reason that we have a speed limit, but we need to have a noise ordinance because there's, you know, you have to work towards the lowest common denominator here. I believe that it supports economic development. There's nothing wrong with being known as the town that has a quiet ordinance that promotes and values the health and wellness of its residents and shows respect for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address the board?
Sorry, I'll stay seated.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Yep, that's really fine.
For those who don't know me, my name is Rebecca Collins Brooks. And I just want to say, as always, my husband and I are grateful to all of you for your service to our town. I'm going to read my comments because I can't speak off the cuff. Tonight, I would like to offer my thoughts on your recent conversations about implementing a noise ordinance. Your conversations are long overdue, as evidenced by the many concerns raised with the planning board, including my own, over several recent applications before them. Many members of your electorate spoke into the record requesting decibel restrictions in applications, along with strict enforcement of the same. In fact, it is noise from commercial businesses that is one of the greatest concerns for community members living near them. This isn't about regulating the noise from chainsaws or lawnmowers or weed whackers or even the dreaded leaf blowers. This is not about shutting down the racetrack. This is not about private citizens' rights being taken away. In fact, this is about the right of private citizens to quiet enjoyment of their own homes. This is not a locals versus newcomers issue. This isn't about where you or I come from, because here in the town of Rochester is where we all find ourselves now. This is about preserving the rural culture of our town and managing neighborly relationships. There is no room in a small town for those who feel they have more rights than their neighbors. When neighbors cannot find common ground, or when a business views itself as somehow exempt from the rules, it's the town's responsibility, your responsibility, to solve the problem. Good laws and the careful and consistent enforcement of them creates the clear boundary between good people and bad neighbors. I have enormous compassion for you in attempting to solve the issue before you, because the social media torches and pitchforks have been out in full force, which is a communication tactic I find repugnant. This is not about just one business. This is about how this town has managed the problem of noise, specifically outdoor amplified music, thus far. In my opinion, there seems to have been no management, alongside very little decent neighborly behavior. Here's how the lack of enforcement sounds from our vantage point. On open mic night at the Stonehouse Tavern, we can hear the songs being announced, the lyrics coming out of the singers' mouths, and we even know who those singers are because we know many of them. We have nothing against the restaurant, nothing against the singers, some of whom are quite talented. We know because we can hear them. We just really like to be able to sit in our own house on a hot summer or beautiful fall evening and listen to the sounds of the country instead of loud music. When Innis has a wedding or event, we try to sleep against the boom of an amplified bass. It's the same with Arrowwood and their concerts, particularly the Woodsis Festival. For those who know where our farm is, you know we live nowhere near any of these places. I ask this question: when did outdoor amplified music become a necessary or mandatory part of a business model? All the many successful businesses I recall, and these go back before any of your time, The Canal House, the Northern Spy, the Top of the Falls, the Old Hasbrook House, the Red Brick Tavern, well, some of them don't go before you. And I talk about the Old Northern Spy. None of these business owners relied on bringing people into their establishments as music promoters. They relied simply on quality food and service. My husband and I enjoy paying for someone else to cook us a meal when we can savor delicious food and be able to hear each other speaking, rather than shouting across the table at each other. I posit that it won't hurt businesses, but instead might help to stop using outdoor amplified music as a crutch, or at the very least, for the town to monitor the levels of the noise they produce and hold to tight standards of enforcement. This brings me to the most critical point of this noise ordinance you're discussing: enforcement. Without a law that has teeth, nothing will change noise-wise. The rules you make now set the tone for all the legal steps that happen afterward. Your law empowers the codes enforcement officer to cite the offender. Your law empowers the justice court to actually hold the offenders accountable in a tangible way. The record of enforcement in this town has been atrocious across the board in every department. And so I'll ask another question. How can you make yet another law, especially one that will impact people, businesses, residents, all of us, without a plan to enforce it? There is sketchy enforcement of the laws we already have on the books. I might start by not putting the businesses themselves in charge of monitoring their own decibel levels, like the proverbial fox in the henhouse. I would follow that by making the consequence of infraction so severe that the cost can't be built into a special events contract. And it's not only the law itself that brings peace to a community, it's the enforcement of that law by a trusted enforcement agency, the constabulary, that ensures that the law protects everyone. As a town board, you represent all of us, not just the business owners who want a vibe for their outdoor eating space. You represent my husband and me, who both grew up here and believe deeply in community, no matter where someone comes from. You represent the chainsaw guy, the race car owner, the farmer, the business owner, the neighbor of the rule breaker, and the rule breaker, the person on Main Street, and the person in the hills of Cherrytown. I don't envy your job with this one, but I sure hope you actually do something about it this time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Matt?
I'll say something, I didn't come prepared, but I would like to address. 3 years ago, I was on the rail trail, just down the way here. And it was quiet. And I heard the choir from the church right over here, clear as could be. It was phenomenal. It was just so unbelievable how that sound carried. And it was remarkable. I treasure that moment, even though I'm not that religious. They were singing hymns. That was a memorable moment, which one couldn't have enjoyed. And we very seldom can enjoy, because we are bombarded by sound from every which way. And it just so happened, in that moment for me, the silence was gold.
I apologize, we're having issues with the video tonight, it seems so. It's going in and out for those of you watching on the stream or on Zoom. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Alana?
So you guys know how I 2 meetings ago or a meeting ago, I already stated very clearly where I stand on this. But I just have a question. I don't understand, and maybe you guys are understanding it as a board as you consider all of this. How acoustic outdoor music is not a fair compromise. And indoor amplified is not a fair compromise. And I will refer to the regulations that the Crested Hen had to go through for their special use permit in the Hamlet zone. I know that some of the businesses in question or that are being cited are not in a Hamlet zone. Some of them are in commercial zones, some of them are in an R whatever. But it just seemed like that is a really fair precedent to apply everywhere. He can have amplified indoor with the barn doors closed. But anything with the doors open, no amplified, and he's in the middle of a field in a hamlet zone. I don't know, I don't know what they, like, this is, I guess, a rhetorical question, but, I've been thinking about that. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who's in person who would like to address the board? Okay, so we will move to, we have 2 participants on Zoom. Would either of you like to address the board at this time?
I can.
Okay. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you. Good evening to all board members and members of the public in attendance. My name is Michael Lapau, and my family and I are residents of Ackerd. I want to express my appreciation and gratitude for allowing me this platform to speak and for listening to my concerns about noise issues as well as those of other town residents. Your willingness to act and address these quality of life issues based on public feedback means that local government can work and make a positive impact on the lives of its citizens. As you continue to workshop a noise ordinance for our town, I'll continue to stay top of mind and share my concerns for as long as this process takes so your residents are heard. I began raising concerns about the Stonehouse Tavern's outdoor music to the planning board 2 years ago in April 2023, when they applied for an extension of their special use permit. Since then, the noise problem has gotten significantly worse, going from 3 nights per week of music to 5 nights per week, when the owners lied to the planning board at the April 12th, 2023 planning board meeting and said they were reducing the number of nights from 3 to 2. Remember, all of these meetings are recorded and live on YouTube, so I encourage anyone here to watch for themselves. I'll happily send you a link to the video. The owners were also forced to put up a fence, gate, or something to block access to their restaurant from the private road, Sand Hill Road, which I live on, and to only use Route 209 for all restaurant access except for emergency vehicles. They were given these instructions in April of 2023 for their special use permit to be approved. The permit was approved on September 11th, 2023 and signed on September 14th, 2023. If anyone on the planning board had done their due diligence, they would have seen that no fence was installed to block access at that time, as a removable chain was installed in September of 2024, as I pass this every day to get to and from my home. Their permit's special conditions of approval first item clearly states, and I quote, "Access for all public and business uses of the property, with the exception of emergency services related to this site plan, shall be from entirely New York State Route 209 and shall not be from the private Sand Hill Road." So what happened was their permit was approved without oversight and accountability. Yet, who suffers the consequences from this? Me, as I am responsible for road maintenance for Sand Hill Road, and they refused to work with me on a road maintenance agreement. Their attorney recently read a statement from them at a planning board meeting stating that I am incorrect and that no customer or staff use Sand Hill Road for access to the restaurant. Well, I have pictures of cars parked along Sand Hill Road that prove otherwise. Just this past weekend, as I drove to and from my home, the removable chain at the entrance was removed. I saw no emergency vehicles. I'm happy to make some calls to find out if fire, police, EMT, or other emergency vehicles needed access to the restaurant, as I'm sure a call for an emergency vehicle would surely be on record. But this is not what I'm here to discuss tonight. I'm here to share my concerns about the Tuesday through Saturday outdoor music they have beginning May 1st and ending October 31st every year, which equates to 130 nights per year, understanding that weather could reduce that, but we are not Mother Nature and have no control over the weather. I can only refer to what they advertise publicly on their website, email newsletters, and social media, which is Tuesday music, Wednesday music, Thursday trivia night, Friday music, and Saturday music. This board has already been presented with every detail of my complaints, as well as others regarding instances, dates, communications, sound decibel level reports, and videos of their music, all from my property, so I won't get into those details again. They're already on public record. Per their permit, special conditions of approval, items 2, 3, and 4 read as follows. Number 2, compliance with the general commercial and industrial standards for noise as defined in the Town of Rochester zoning code, Article 3, Section 140-20F, shall be strictly required, including for all instances of outdoor and amplified music. Number 3, such standards include without limitation that uses shall not generate cumulative sound levels or at or beyond any lot line that exceeds the ambient noise level by 10 or more decibels. Any sound of 5 to 10 decibels above ambient noise level shall be attenuated or mitigated. Item 4, enforcement of such attenuation and mitigation measures may include, without limitation, reduction or removal of amplification and or removal of performance on any portion of the property or the property as a whole, imposition of limitations on the hours of such performance and or combinations thereof. What's interesting is that the permit's general conditions of approval, the last sentence of item 3 states, the town may stop work on this project and or revoke a building permit and or withhold a certificate of occupancy and or seek any other additional relief as authorized by law if any term or condition of this resolution is violated. I have made several complaints about the noise, and what I find interesting and unacceptable is that the terms of this permit are not being enforced, checked, and the owners are being held to no accountability, which leaves all of their neighbors forced to listen to nightly concerts for 6 months a year, 130 nights a year, without zero respect or regard for us. How are we to trust these permits, those approving them, and that laws are being followed when it seems they can do whatever they want with no consequence? This is why I'm here speaking tonight. It's time for the local businesses, and that is what I'm referring to. Businesses with outdoor music, not residents making noise from mowing their lawns, but the businesses to be held accountable and treat their neighbors with the respect and dignity we deserve, and to allow us to live with the quality of lives we deserve, being in our own homes with the windows open and not being forced to listen to an outdoor concert from a live band with horn instruments every week for 6 months out of the year, and have code enforcement do their job and issue violations and fines. A real threat of removal of permits due to violations should be enforced by the planning board. The first step in this is a noise ordinance for businesses. I have encouraged board members to come to my house on any night there is music to hear what I hear and check cumulative ambient noise and decibel levels. Per the permit's special conditions of approval, item 3 again states, shall not generate cumulative sound levels at or beyond any lot line. Mind you, my home is just beyond the lot line that exceeds the ambient noise level by 10 or more decibels. Any sound of 5 to 10 decibels above ambient noise level shall be attenuated or mitigated. If this is not being enforced, then an official town noise ordinance should be enacted and enforced. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Dylan, did you want to address the board?
Yes, thank you. I'm afraid I'm not quite as prepared as some of the other speakers. I definitely agree with everything Michael and Rebecca have said. I enjoy reading. I enjoy sitting outside. I used to look forward to summer and sitting outside, having dinner with my wife, and just kind of enjoying living in the country and the nature. And now it's music from bands I don't know, bands I don't care about, bands I don't want to listen to. and it's all coming in from neighbors. I don't have anything against the businesses themselves. I want these businesses to succeed. I want everybody to be able to make money. I just don't think they should do it at the expense of their neighbors. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is everyone good? I think we can go ahead and move on from the public comment portion from the meeting unless anyone wants to share anything else. Okay. Great. Thanks everyone for coming and addressing the board. So we will move on to town board member time.
Just got a couple of questions from ECC about access to the watershed parcel. They're wondering, do we as a board, think that they have permission for the committee themselves to access the property? And if not, could we put a process in place?
Sure, we have that as an agenda item in discussion.
Okay.
So we can maybe we could talk about that as a board.
Yeah, we just they didn't have time to put together anything specifically about that, about putting the process together. They're just curious if there already was one, but if we want to move, there was nobody that was able to show up tonight. So that's why we're asking to maybe push it to the next meeting, so somebody could come and talk about the process specifically if there is not one in place. That's what they're asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is there's a separate question about whether or not committee members can just go onto that
Yes,
parcel.
do they have access to it right now? They just wanted me to find that out tonight. And then, in addition, if there is no process, if we could wait for them to weigh in on that, because nobody was able to come tonight.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. Yeah, no, no one answered about whether or not they could come tonight. I thought we could talk about this as a board at the end of the meeting, so maybe we could discuss that. We don't have a process in place, but we have allowed committee members to go onto that parcel as long as we're aware of it. But I thought it could be part of the discussion if the board wanted to talk about that in particular, how we want to handle. We own several parcels in town that are vacant, and I think just being aware of like how we're thinking about those when they're not actually public spaces, they're just town-owned property. So.
Do not walk on the one that's near me.
Okay.
Were you done?
Then I just had one more question about, again, asking if we could adopt OSI, open space inventory, into the comprehensive plan, and what the process would be for that.
Okay, is that something you want to talk about now, or do you want to raise it for a future agenda?
Yeah, just to have everybody on the same page. Again, what I bring back to them in order to what they need to prepare in order to have a good conversation about it.
I have to go back and look at what we've done so far. That was adopted as a town record. I can't remember what we did when we amended the comprehensive plan, but it would be a local law.
Okay.
So the board would have to decide that we want to go through that process and
Incorporating those documents.
as an addendum to the comprehensive plan.
I don't believe it's a local law, but it does require public hearings.
Oh, right, you're right. I'm sorry, Mary Lou, I misspoke. It's not a local law, but it requires a public hearing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we discussed that in the Natural Heritage Plan. There's a whole bunch of documents.
We adopted most of the natural heritage plan as an addendum to the comprehensive plan.
Okay. So, do I just get in touch with you about what we need to prepare with the ECC?
I think the ECC would prepare a recommendation to the board. And then the board would be the one deciding whether or not to move forward with that.
Thank you.
I want to say I appreciate everyone's comments today. I appreciated everyone's comments last time. I think, you know, to me, this is like one of those issues that really strikes at what's challenging about being on the board, right? It's about balance. It's about finding compromise between these different perspectives. I think it's really interesting that last meeting, we had a lot of people that were opposed to noise ordinances. Specifically, for reasons not necessarily related to amplified sound, it was concerns about it being a slippery slope, and are we trying to ban agricultural uses, chainsaws and things like that, which this board has been very clear that we are looking for the most tailored initial step possible. And then this time we have people that are representing the other side. It'd be great if everyone were able to speak at the same time. And maybe, well, when this comes to public hearing, we'll have an opportunity to do that, because I think it's important for the town to hear all these voices, hear all these perspectives, and most importantly, to find compromise, because I don't think anyone wants to jeopardize a business's ability to operate, but I can also understand why hearing loud music multiple nights a week throughout all of the summer months, is also a feel that it's an imposition on their ability to enjoy their space. So I hope we consider continue moving forward with this, and I welcome the continued feedback. I think people should weigh in on this because it's important about shaping the future of the town. So.
Anything else on the board? I'm good. I will talk about where we're at with the noise ordinance and what next steps in our discussion period of the meeting. So we did have someone who had reached out about the Board of Assessment Review. There's an expired term. We have someone in an expired term. So that person, we had discussed interviewing tonight. I did not hear from them about attending. The time sensitivity is a new member has to do the training on May 7th. So we don't have a meeting in between that. The person that is in that term is interested in being reappointed. So I wanted to ask the board if you wanted to discuss appointments in executive session at the end of the meeting, or if you want me to go ahead and put that forward.
So if the term expires, when does the term expire?
It expired last September.
So this would be an appointment until when?
2029. Yeah,
Are there any other candidates?
just the one that I had talked to initially. We had made plans to discuss an interview tonight, but then I didn't.
I reached out yesterday and also didn't hear back.
I'm sorry?
I also reached out yesterday. The follow-up, didn't hear back.
So
And the incumbent wishes to be reappointed?
yeah. Do you guys we have some other appointments too, so we could have an executive session at the end of the meeting just to discuss appointments of particular individuals, and then make a decision when we come out, if you guys feel more comfortable with that. Or we can just move forward with it.
I'm fine waiting and talking executive session.
I always prefer personnel issues in executive session.
Okay, yeah, if you guys don't want to just move forward with an appointment, we can definitely do that. So moving on, we've got some.
But we can appoint after the.
Yes, we can. We just can't do it during executive session, and I have to make the notes for the, I will make the notes for the minutes. I'm also seeing, when I was making my amendments on these agendas, I made a mistake. So when we get there, I duplicated a resolution where there should be a different resolution for H. So, but we'll move forward. So for the first resolution, I'll make a motion that we amend resolution 66 of 2025 boards and commission stipends to increase the planning board chair stipend from $250 to $350 per quarter. Do I have a second?
Second.
For discussion, when we made this schedule, we didn't know that the planning board was going to be meeting twice a month. And the planning board chair usually gets a little bit more, and with how it's going, they're not. So they're making less as the
So
chair.
normal, regular members get $250.
They get $50 a meeting.
6 meetings.
Yeah. So, any Anything else? So all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. So we'll have an adjustment in the next abstract because I didn't put this amount in for the current abstract.
Which is that, it's the effective date of that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to say January 1st. So I guess I should amend. So I'll make a motion to amend the previous resolution to be effective January 1st, 2025. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Thanks for catching that, Charlie. Approval and payment of abstract 4B. Let's just take a sec. Did you pass around the ambulance?
I don't.
So this one came in late, it didn't get audited with everything else, so this is our ambulance. So we could just take a second and get that audited by the board. I think I haven't been booked out. So I just grabbed it.
I mean, what?
I need to sign, I need to initial it too.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So we, for that one, we heard back from our committees
Yes.
and they got the reports and
Yeah, they provided the reports. I think there was, they were supportive of paying the invoices. There were definitely some areas where I think the committees want to understand, specifics of the information that was provided. And so I was talking with them and they're gonna put together some questions and basically want to be available to advise and help the squads if there's any questions or things that they want to think through in terms of future funding.
okay. And then for Alexis and Zolly, we have the special district. That's a taxing district. We have allotted funds in a contract that go to both ambulance squads, so we do quarterly payments. They're a little bit tied to quarterly reports of the previous quarter. So the process is the reports come in, we send the reports to our committees, they review and make sure that everything that they have indeed provided coverage, which they have, and then we issue the payment. I don't know how to fix things. I'm sorry. I'm not sure why it's doing this today. Thank you, if I'm getting it. Right. Okay.
Do I have to
thank
do
you.
anything with this? Tonight?
Just, I periodically try to put the video back on, I guess.
No, it's distracting. Isn't it?
Yeah. All right, thanks for your patience with this. We do have a payment schedule in the contract, so I wanted to make sure we met it. Okay, so I will, I'm gonna make the motion that the town board approve and pay abstract 4B of 2025 in the amounts of general fund, $48,504.26. Highway fund is $98,293.55. Capital fund is zero. Street lighting fund, $361.50. Ambulance fund is $54,917.50. And the escrow fund, which is part of general fund, is $1,332. Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. All right. I've got two budget modifications right now, so I'd like to make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board authorizes the reallocation of funds within Highway Fund to cover the costs of engineering services related to the installation specifications and preparation of bid documents for the Queens Highway Culvert Replacement Project. The board approves the following budget modification to decrease 5110.441 road maintenance professional services by $2,500 and increase 5020.440 engineering professional service by $2,500. This modification results in a net zero change to the highway fund budget and allows the project to proceed using existing appropriations.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. So I'll make the next budget modification as presented because we had that printed in the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? This funds this records clerk position that we've been talking about, and I feel good about moving all of that. You know, we're not cutting anything at this point because we didn't make an appointment for that parks position. So that fund, that amount is just gonna sit there, so.
Anyone accept?
Hmm?
Anyone accept?
Oh, no, we'll get there. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. So that resolution funded Deputy Town Clerk 3. So the next resolution, the town board, I'll make a motion to assign additional duties to the Deputy Town Clerk 3 position of being a clerk to the Code Enforcement Office and Planning and Zoning and executing the records digitization as assigned by the town clerk.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. So the next one, this was the agreement with Hidden Forest Estates. That
Would you like me to address this, Erin?
sure, yeah, I'm filling in the little blanks.
Okay. So Hidden Forest Estates LLC is, I don't know if we call them mobile home parks or manufactured home parks now. It's very lovely. On Metacahonks Road. Last year, the assessor did his assessment. Hidden Forest Estates challenged that assessment to the Board of Assessment Review. The Board of Assessment Review did lower the assessment, however, not to the level that the property owner thought was proper. So he then brought what's called a real property tax law Article 7 petition in the courts to get it lowered even further. We've had several, we being the attorney for the property owner and myself, have had several conferences with Judge Schreibman about this, and we have discussed settling the matter. And although in principle, I think both the assessor and I feel the Board of Assessment Review did a very good job. In practicality, to continue this lawsuit we're going to have appraisals done. It's a commercial property. It's going to be, the last commercial property we did an appraisal on was probably 10 years ago, and it was over $10,000. And when I say wait, I don't know if it was this town or another town. So they have offered to settle this to reduce the fair market value, and then Jeremy will do his magic to figure out how that affects the assessment, to $2 million, which is bringing it down less than $100,000 from where we are right now. And Jeremy has agreed that this is a good settlement. We'd like to get this done right away because he has to have his numbers in on May 1st. And if we don't have this settlement done by that time, they're going to challenge again before the Board of Assessment review this year and bring another lawsuit. Just the economics of it's a good settlement.
So what's the difference is only $100,000 in assessed value?
Yes.
What did the
in fair market value, so it's going to be even less than assessed value.
what did the BAR determine its value was? 2.1?
No. Let me think.
I think it was 500. They ended up.
The Board of Assessment Review brought it down a lot.
Yeah, I know it was 500. I think it was 500,000, but I don't remember.
I think it was more than that they brought it down. You know, but it's just a case of we settle it. I think that Jeremy said the settlement would end up in a reduction of their taxes. He said $1,400. I don't know if he meant over the 4 years that it has to stay at that rate, or if he was talking per year. But even if it's per year, the town's saving money by settling it.
Did the property owner submit an appraisal, commercial appraisal?
No, that we would have to do those if we continue this. And those appraisals, commercial appraisals, would be submitted blind to the court. We would have to do one and they would have to do one. They have presented all of their numbers and Jeremy went over all that. They did, we did some discovery. They presented us with numbers and their argument for why it should be lowered.
If the difference in valuation is 2.5%, it's less than 2.5%. I would accept the offer.
Yeah, it's very minimal. In the long run, the town saves money going this route. You're not going to, as much as I love it when you pay me, I mean, you see what my bills are. And to have a litigation on this and to be paying a commercial appraisal as well, it's not a big adjustment, as you said, Zolly.
What, if any, impacts does this have in the reval process? Does this hold?
It will hold at this value for 4 years. They have waived, usually if they've paid taxes, we have to refund the overpayment. They have waived that. And this will stay in effect for 4 years. And after the 4th year, the reval is what the new valuation will be. That's agreed to.
So this valuation goes back to May 1st, 2024?
Yes.
But we're also doing a reval, so I think that there will be a reval of that property, and that's what
there will be a reval, but the value we have now, and this is under New York state law, is going to stay in effect for a few years, and then the new reval assessment will go into effect, or maybe it will be even higher then.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But at this point, under New York state law, it stays in effect.
So does that calendar start on May 1st, 2024?
That starts on 2025 because we're not paying them back any overpayment this year.
So 4 years from this year.
Yes, including this year.
So based on the recommendation of Mary Lou and the assessor, I move that we accept the stipulated the compromise.
Okay.
Second.
And excuse me, what you need in there is also authorizing me, because the attorney signed the agreement, not the town. But I need you to
Oh.
authorize the attorney for the town to execute the consent order.
Okay,
Is
I amend my motion to read that.
that different from what it said?
And whoever seconded has to second the.
I'll second.
Yeah. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries.
Okay, I'm going to sign that tonight. I
Okay.
am going to email it to the attorney for the property owner so he can submit it. He'll sign it and submit it to the judge. The judge said if we settle it, let him know so that he can get that signed, in time for May 1st. So thank you very much.
Okay, great. So we did not get, I didn't get any bids back for the fence replacement RFP. So I wanted to request that we, re-release that. Can we do it for an oak until we get a response, or do we have to put a date on it?
I
For
think
proposals, I mean, you should put a date on it, but you don't have to. I think the problem is if you don't have a date on it and then you award it to someone and a week later, somebody else comes in with something better.
So I guess we should put the 7th
of May.
of May. Okay, so I'll make a motion that we re-release the RFP for the fence replacement through from opening April 24th, 2025 and closing May 7th, 2025 at 4 p.m.
You don't want to just do it to the workshop?
No, because if we get one, hopefully they'll start doing the work.
Yeah.
I mean, we can, but they'll just,
A week and a half, yeah, okay. Let's see, we can always move it. Or redo it.
Yeah.
Second.
any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. So 27. Yeah, okay, so this, I pasted this fence resolution, but I wanted to put in this one that's on the back. So we got this request last fall and the board was aligned in making a request to reduce the speed limit on County Route 6. That the part that is in the town of Rochester. So in order to do that, we have to pass a resolution and then we send it to Ulster County Department of Public Works.
Is the current speed limit really 55?
It is,
From Four Corners to the edge of town is all
right,
55?
the Marbletown had it reduced to 45. But I feel like our section is
Oh dear.
very windy. And they don't have to do what we say, I just thought we might as well start.
But they may not. But they did it for Marbletown.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah, I think we should do it.
Move that we accept this resolution as presented.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay. So I think we decided that we'll just do all the appointments after executive session. and then you're gonna table yours?
I know, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, you wanna do it right now?
Sure.
Okay. So,
Okay, so I will be making the appointment of Brandon Menendez to Deputy Clerk 3 position effective May 12th, 2025 at a rate of $23.75 an hour for 20 hours a week with additional meeting coverages as needed.
okay, great. That date, that starting date works?
Yes,
Okay.
I spoke with him and he's coming next week, but either way, he wanted to.
Perfect. Oh, I'm very excited.
Yes, me too.
There's the new printer is coming, or it came today?
It came today.
Or scanner, sorry.
Scanner was delivered today and will be set up in the next 2 days. And I'm very excited because after reading, speaking about the references, this person has 8 years of experience in records management, strictly doing this kind of work. So I'm very excited about this. And
Yeah.
attention to detail was the #1 thing both people had stated to me. I feel like this is a great fit. We're moving in the right direction. I'm super excited.
Yeah.
They're gonna be here.
Yes. With a mobile cart. But those medical in hospitals.
Crash cart.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Except with like,
Like a little computer.
yeah. Okay, so we now we're gonna move on to the bid response. So what I thought.
Did you vote on that? Oh, no, she just.
Yeah, we don't have to vote.
Never mind. I just realized it's the deputy clerk. Sorry.
So I thought we should, if you guys, I thought we would do this ahead of discussion. We can do scoring and selection of the bid. If you guys feel like the two responses are, worth doing that on. So what I was thinking is actually we could take a brief recess. So that because I know the one came in this morning, so
Yeah.
we can take a brief recess and board members can have a little bit of time to consider what you think the score should be. And then we'll come out of that, and then we can discuss and make a decision. So we had does that work for everyone?
Does.
Okay. We had put in our bid a chart of what the evaluation criteria would be. So there's 2 worksheets for each board member. You can, for each bid proposal that we got. For weighted scores, I think it's more accurate to score everything out of 100 and then we weight them. And so the weight in the overall score is what's in the column, but if you can score out of 100 and then your total score is weighted. One thing that we do need to take in consideration is under New York State law, the status, if it's a veteran-owned business or an MWBE business, and that would be like official, Mary Lou?
Yeah, they have to be registered with the state as that
Okay.
type of business.
Okay. So I think that for that, we would put that in with the RFB scope line, Mary Lou, do you think, in terms of our scoring?
Yes, and I know you sent the bids, but I got them very kind of last minute and didn't get a chance to look at them. So I don't know what the values are. You have to consider that if the award is over $100,000 or over, and I don't know if you're.
It is.
Okay, all right, and yeah, because it's using state money through the county, so. Right?
Yes, it's state money through the county. It's
Yes, so-
ARPA. It's federal, it's ARPA.
Well, it's federal
Yeah.
and then goes to the state and then goes to the county and then came to you. So you'll have to consider those items.
Any questions about scoring?
Yeah, what do we want to refer to? 'Cause we have to label which.
I think,
1 and 2.
let's do 1 and 2.
So 1 is the paper clipped and 2 is the binder.
Yes, unless you took yours out of a binder,
Do that.
one that was in a binder. Okay, and what I was saying about considering the veteran and women, minority business, that makes sense to everyone.
Is he registered, is the binder guy registered as a?
Well, I think we have to, look in, both have. Yeah, we would look and make sure that, I don't know how else we would know unless it was included in the bid. But- Okay, so, how long do you guys want to take? 10 minutes and then check in? 15? Okay, so we're gonna take a brief working recess where we will be focused and not discussing anything with the public.
schedule of work for number two, or am I not seeing it?
The like timeline, yeah. I don't think they just, I think they mentioned it in the cover letter.
Yeah, that's it, okay.
I'm just gonna pull up the bid on my computer if anybody wants to look.
just remind me what RFP scope component? The first reason,
What was that?
our compliance with RFP scope?
Like what that means?
Yeah.
Oh, just
how we're
like,
scoring that.
it would be how much they provided what we asked for. In our bid document, in the RFP, where we, if you want to look at it, I have it open on my computer.
You said price to include total cost of providing a service. One of them had a 10% unknown cost overage. Would that counting against them?
I don't know.
I mean, I think we're looking for
Yeah.
a bid.
Right, yeah.
I think. If it's included in the base cost, maybe I would. Maybe think of it.
Yeah, it's just this one that has like that big, you know, span of difference.
Big range.
Yeah, big range. And then they put in another 10% of unknown
Mhm.
costs.
This one does too, just so you know, everything that's here is not included in this. So it's, the price that's on the bottom, plus if we wanted those alternates, it would add
Right,
to it.
but they don't have like that nebulous 10%.
Correct.
Big difference in the concrete costs, or am I misreading something?
Slab, the other one has a more an alternative.
$26 versus 48, but then
Yeah.
6,000.
Been a while since I've done the concrete stuff.
I mean, I don't know really what I'm looking at when it comes to what these things should cost. Except for my own contracting projects, which is prepare to like lose the ability to be shocked by anything.
So that unexpected cost is not included in their bid proposal cost, so I'm not sure.
I mean, are we voting on one tonight, or are we gonna go back and ask them for more?
It's up to you guys, so I think when you guys feel like you're done scoring, if that's what you'd like to do, we can do that. We don't have to make a decision tonight, it would push some of the, planned timelines that are in the proposal, so. I might wanna ask Mary Lou like the best way, if that's what you guys wanted to do. I still haven't. Oh, I guess it's been over 15 minutes. I got sucked in.
And if you want to wait for the 2 weeks, you can do that. I'm not sure about, off the top of my head, about going back and asking them for more information.
Right.
You may not be able to do that because the bid's the bid. I can look into that, but I'm not confident that you can
Right.
ask for more information.
Yeah. I feel like I think they're very similarly priced, but there are some differences in what was provided in terms of detail with what we were requesting, so. How do the other board members feel? Do you feel like you can complete the scoring tonight?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
These guys already did a bathroom for us. Right?
Mhm.
Were there other projects that we wanted bids on that we thought they should have submitted a bid but didn't? Just out of curiosity.
Well, you can never require someone to,
I'm not
Yeah.
required, I'm just curious, like, if, like, if they're cherry picking like a, their local company, because we've had a couple of instances where we had to cancel things because we didn't receive bids. Is that right?
right. But, it's their business decisions, what they want to bid on, how busy they are, whether they can bid on something. So I don't think you can take that into consideration, not bidding on other things. Or even if we would have loved for them to have done that.
Do you want them?
If you don't even want the binder at some point, I'll take them.
Yeah.
Kind of feeling as well. Oh, the other side thing more. We approve the baseline, we would be assessing based off the baseline bid. Like, there's no mechanism for us to say. And alternatives or.
I guess you could say if you wanted all the alternatives versus none. Or you could donk both for giving a range. I think it's up, they're so similar with the baseline. It's the. But the additional items are very different. I mean, those are all things that. Were not required with the engineering plan.
Well. But I mean. Let's-
Yeah, alts.
Hmm?
Yeah, so
It's not picking up the additionals and then for the. It's not picking up the quantities and the estimated cost. The estimated cost is higher. The totals aren't right.
Oh, that's what you were talking about. I'm sorry, I thought you meant the scoring sheet. I was like, what?
You're going through is fine.
I was gonna ask if anyone had checked those because I was eyeballing it. I think did you do the one where you have to choose one or the other?
Yeah, but. The issue is where there's multiple quantities in the estimated column, it's not the totals. But in the total estimated it is, but I don't know why the total estimated cost is lower than the estimated cost. Okay, let me just.
Oh, I'm glad you're doing that because I was going to, but I think I'm the slowest one. I added the other one up and it added up.
Bid one.
Yeah, bid one added
Or is
up.
that incorrect? But if we do want to go to 2 and there are discrepancies, that means we have to push it until we deal with any sort of modifications to the bids. Is that what?
Well, I mean, I think we score them and but like, we're never gonna. I feel comfortable scoring them. Are you saying you don't feel comfortable giving scores?
No, I mean, like, then you're saying we lock in, but do we even have a number to lock in
Well, I think if,
with the discrepancies in the pricing?
right, I think what we're doing is the cost and budget details, so I think. Whatever the cost proposal that they're saying, which is printed in the front,
Yeah,
I would use that. But in terms of the budget detail, if it's inaccurate,
yeah.
that's, we're looking for accuracy, we're looking for detail.
So she get dinged more. in RFPs.
Did anyone see
I
the
mean,
references for
they
one?
said, here's projects with people's contact information, but it didn't explicitly say references.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
guess.
how I
Okay.
took it.
Yeah, when I was.
And they all seem to be like residential projects. I was thinking of these. Right. How's the bathroom they did for us? Where is it?
It's at the courthouse.
Is that what?
The courthouse.
The courthouse.
It's one of the nicest rooms in the building.
I don't know if that's the same.
What did you get?
It was totaling up with it. Well, it was totaling up close to what this one is, but I haven't added up that column. It was all violations. 229. 2063. And that's including. Oh, let me see if that's what happened. So. Including the higher level concrete. But I mean, that's a big difference. Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm curious about making these choices, because that's a $20,000 difference.
Five minutes. Ollie, are you done? I can input yours unless you wanted to talk.
Let's just talk.
Huh?
We can
Huh?
talk.
You want to talk before I input your numbers?
Oh, no, it's fine. So
You can pass me your sheets or. Or if you guys want to call them out, that's also fine. These correspond to these, you waited.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
that's my phone again. On the veterans versus the Wimby, they cancel each other out. So,
Mhm. Well, the one said they're, well, I don't know.
they both have applications submitted.
Oh, did that say it in this one too?
Yeah.
Oh, where did it say that?
What, women owned or veteran owned?
The veteran owned?
It's
So
in,
they had a submission receipt for $103 and something.
Oh, I see. It says approval. Is that for the payment or for the?
I think it's for the payment. He said application submitted.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I see. Well, do we? I need to change mine.
Charlotte's folder, do you want me to put her stuff in it? Want our random folders done?
I'm deconstructing.
Clean
I
white.
only give her one piece at a time.
Nice.
Dolly, it's the last one and 8 or 7 there. Okay. I have the neatest handwriting out of all you guys. Probably.
Proud of
My hands-
No, I
my
don't
hands
know.
are
if it
faster
means
than my
something.
brain, and my brain can't.
Mhm.
Figure out what to put in the hand.
The bad thing for me is when I take notes and I can't read my own handwriting.
I do that. It's like whenever I'm working on a computer, I have like a notepad
Yeah.
where I'm scribbling stuff down. And like, what's that?
Like when you wake up and try to write down a dream.
Oh my God, that's impossible.
I blend letters, like a half cursive.
Yeah.
I
I don't even know if I can remember how to write cursive aside from signing my name. I was really bad at it. Left-handed. My favorite though was my daughter wanted me to draw a fireman's hat. She was a fireman's hat. And I'm a terrible drawer, so I drew this like, it was like two ellipses like together.
Yeah.
And she was fine with it, and Molly was like, what is that? Fireman's hat? She was like, that's not how you draw it. She draws like a proper fireman's hat. They were sitting right next to one another, and I wanted to take a picture.
Can't draw anything.
It's so bad. I'm just like, how do you even see that in your head to draw it? Awful. Like the hat man in Curious George wears. My hat.
If you can draw that, that's great.
Yeah.
I can't even draw that.
Yeah, no, it's not worth.
Alexis, is that a 6?
Jesus.
Oh.
Let me try. 1, 2, next to last. Equals a 9, so I think so, yes.
Okay.
6 times 0.15.
Violence in there. Okay, so I'll just double check. Once. So I summed everything and then totaled it, and then I'm dividing that total by 4. Because there were 4 of us. Right?
You summed everything, totaled it, and then divided by 4.
Yes. Yeah, so everyone did the 100s, so I did that, then I put in the weighted. And then that gave me the weighted score that would be out of like all of us.
Yep.
And then I divided that by 4 because there were
Yeah.
4 of us to get a score of 100. I can also give you guys the,
I trust you.
okay. So bid 1, if we do it out of 100, that would be 83.0625.
Give me 82.
That's for who?
Bid 1,
Which is bid what?
the one that was not in the binder.
Rustic roots.
Neither of them are in the binder.
Bid,
Golly.
bid 2 is
Paperclip.
78.
What was it, 83 and 78?
I'll just double check all my formulas. So. Guys feel like you can make that decision? Okay. 2 solid bids. From 2 local companies.
You get the whole thing.
I can disassemble it for you if you want.
It's not as fun if you don't take.
That can be Deputy Town Clerk Free's first request.
Okay.
We need to shove this stuff or can we just recycle?
We don't, there was no confidentiality statements. That was
You're gonna shredder it or recycle for paper?
Not just here, but if you want, I get to shred them.
Put my,
Wait, give it to me, because I'll use it scrap paper.
So, you're on this is-
okay. That's okay. Quick question, how should we fill in the amount? Should we give the range? Since they both gave a range? Or no? Mary Lou, both did.
Is the range for you guys to pick certain things, whether you want them or not?
Yes,
Then you should go through those things and determine which ones you'd like and then come up with the total.
should we have done that with both of them?
But that
Well,
wasn't- that
it
wasn't-
does, it could affect your scoring.
We
didn't
didn't
score
score
on
a price.
We scored on cost and budget detail.
The detail, not the price.
Yeah, that's how I took it.
I mean, I think that the contract that would show.
Did you do this on just regular, or did you do best practices? Because it's lowest responsible bidder.
Well, we're doing best value basis. Is what it's
Okay, all right. All right, so in determining that best value, did you determine what things you want from the different?
Definitely not vinyl siding.
Yeah,
And then what did we decide on handicap paths paved or? Like a firm item 4?
I think we should include them. We had such a powerful.
Yeah, I mean, I
testimony
think
from-
we are better off with concrete.
Yeah,
I mean, that when you're looking at that, what things you want, that could affect your
Well, that-
scores, I
Really, because-
suppose.
Not really, because the low ends were the same, but the overages were unspecified. So what I would do
Oh, okay.
is get rid of the vinyl siding and add the hardy board and put in, so that's it, I think that's subtract 8, add 14.
Mhm.
And then the other one was concrete pathways, so I don't know if that would be done on top of the item 4 for the item. So I don't know if that would be additional or whether you take off the original bid and add the concrete.
There's substitutions.
Yeah.
Well, it says alternates.
So alternate to me means substitution, which means to take off the base price.
Right. That's inclusive. Concrete is inclusive of any base. So it's basically a swing of 12,000 for this.
So should we just look at the other one and see if we did similar changes, if, like. I mean, I scored more heavily. I gave them the same on cost because it was. In my mind, it was the same on cost, and then I was just basing off of the budget detail for the scoring that I did. Because they're combined, so, but if you guys want, we could look at the other one and see if anybody wants to change their cost and budget detail after we compare, if we have a similar list. I mean, they did give the walkways, but I don't know what that is actually, concrete, they did give the concrete pathways as an option on that one too. Isn't that what you're suggesting, Mary Lou?
She's asking if it would have affected the outcome.
If you're not doing concrete pathways anyway, and they have the same basic cost without that,
Yeah,
right? I mean, Sally had recommended just taking out that is one of the possibilities, correct, Sally?
no, we're saying we want
We want the
We
concrete.
want the concrete and the up, and we want the
Hardy board.
hardy board. And then. when
Okay,
we-
so you should, in making that analysis for that particular item, you should look at what the difference in the costs are, if any, between the two.
Okay.
Who actually does the design?
Designed right.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. It's already. Okay, so that would bring this to. 6. 2080. That would be 1, 2, 7. Okay. Did you want me to see how different in cost those would be if we did that for the other one? And
It doesn't change my scoring.
Okay.
So if others want to do it, I'm fine.
No, I'm comfortable going forward with the cover.
Sorry, okay. Yeah, they are very similar. But I scored them the same on price because they were the same. It's fine myself. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that the town of Rochester Town Board selects the bid from Rustic Roots Farm LLC in the amount of $194,679.35 and authorizes the town supervisor to execute a construction contract with said vendor contingent upon attorney review and approval and receipt of all required documentation and insurance.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Okay. I will notify the bidders. Okay. All right, so I guess you haven't announced this resignation yet, but it's,
I could do. it
Okay.
if you want. So I have received a resignation for retirement purposes from Albert Davis, code enforcement building inspector. I also have received a resignation from Judith Carpopa from the EEC as well, so ECC.
so,
She and climate smart.
Oh, yes.
so I wanted to just review with the board how you would like me to proceed with the hiring process. I included a draft job announcement and anyone that has comments on that can send them to me. I just
Which position or?
code enforcement officer.
Okay.
So what my proposal in the job announcement, well, first, I would like to announce the vacancy internally first and just give a week before publishing the that posting publicly. So I wanted to get your feedback on that.
But with the same posting done.
Mhm.
Sure, job requisition.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay,
You're saying you might consider internal applicants?
if there are any, but I
Why-
don't want to solely consider internal.
Why
applicants.
would you?
Can just be open to them.
Yeah,
It's
why
open.
why don't you just open it to the public and then? I mean, what's the rationale for doing an internal posting before you go up?
I think it's I've just
Perfect.
had that when I'm in other organizations I've been in, but I guess that's why I wanted to ask.
Do you know there's internal candidates already?
There might be. It's possible.
I don't have a strong problem with it.
Strong feelings out there, it's just working with the professionals.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's like a courtesy.
So a week internal and then,
Unless, but,
But what happens? I'm not any of the candidates or potential candidates. What happens if the internal candidate meets, say, minimum qualifications? Would you still go to review the public applicants?
yes, what I would want to do is we put a deadline on it, so the week gives the internal applicants just like more time. So that was the second thing is I want to put a deadline on it. So I wanted to get your feedback on that. The vacancy date is May 10th. So I don't think we're going to make an appointment. I think this is a very, very critical position. And I think we need to give ourselves time. We need to hire the right person.
And the office can function if we pass that date and don't have someone in.
Correct.
For a short year.
For a short period of time, we don't want to, I don't think we want to have it go on too long. And if we aren't finding anyone, I think our plan B would be to reach out to other municipalities and see if we can do a shared, but
Should we make those inquiries now?
I could, yeah, I can see who's
Just
not
as-
working full-time. Yeah,
So today is the 24th, May 10th is the effective date,
yeah,
which is a Saturday. So that's exactly 2 weeks and 1 day. No.
And then
It's 2 weeks in 1 day.
yeah, so I think when we're thinking about how long we want to have the posting, like what the deadline is, does the full board want to interview top candidates, like, because then that would mean we would want to like try to think about having the deadline and then being able to schedule like interviews.
I would like to interview candidates.
Okay,
I don't know what I could think we need to see how many we get.
yeah, the full board interviewed assessor candidates.
Yeah.
So that would be on May, if it's a regular meeting, that would be May 8th or May 22.
Or June, yeah. Yeah, or
What's the
special,
notice period for a special meeting?
72 hours, yeah. And we can do that in executive session, if the board wants.
I would suggest posting internally tomorrow.
Mhm.
And then that would mean that if it's a 1 week period, then the public posting would be on or about May 2nd, which is a Friday.
Mhm.
2 week response period from there. Is that enough?
I think we can see, on the postings, I have been getting about 20 to 25 applicants for these are not the same kind of job, but for
Right.
like 10-day period.
This is competitive, right?
This is a competitive position, but there's not a list.
Right.
So when it's competitive, we have to hire off the list of eligibles, but there's no list currently. So any appointment we make would be a provisional appointment. And when the county has the test, in order to stay in that position,
Yes.
they have to take and pass the test and score in the top, in a reachable. So I think we can do 2 weeks
Is that
from,
tight?
2 weeks from May 10th or May 2nd.
Yeah. So that'll be 2 weeks from May 2nd would be May 16.
And then to try to schedule interviews.
Well, if they close on the 16th, then we can do interviews at our meeting on the 22nd or sometime during that, what you need time to review.
Yeah. We need time to schedule interviews, review, so we could also, see about a special meeting if you guys wanted to do that.
The 26th is Memorial Day.
Yes.
Is 2 weeks sufficient time?
I mean, I might want to make it the 19th so that we have another weekend.
Yeah, I'd give more time.
Yeah,
It's an important position.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
So we penciling in May 19th special meeting, is that what we're talking?
No, May 19th would be what we're advertising we want to receive.
Closing date.
Yeah.
Do we want to pencil in a special meeting or is it going to correspond with?
I think it a little bit, I mean, it would be tight, I think, though we would probably not be making an appointment on the 22nd, possible that we would be making an appointment on June 12th. So I think if we think about the first week of June or,
Interviews.
yeah.
Okay.
Are you here for that?
I will be here on the 5th. I'm leaving on.
Okay,
Oh, shoot. I'm leaving on the 5th.
okay. So I think sometime in between the closing date
So sometime between Memorial
and the
Day
4th.
and the 4th, I'll be here.
Okay. Okay, and I'm sure Charlotte will also. Okay, so then in the position posting, I don't know if you guys saw the draft that I wrote. Budget wise, we could have someone up to 40 hours a week for the rest of the year if we wanted. So I put in, and I wanted to ask the board. I personally and I've spoken to the office about this. I'm personally open to someone who would work a regular schedule during the week and have flex time where they could work on call on the weekends, attend occasional meetings, go to court. I put that in the I put that
So
as,
flex time,
right, or like, I think what I'm saying is like, it was a 30-hour-a-week position, and I think we should think, when we're interviewing people, we should see, but I think
Okay.
having a range of what we're willing to hire for, I think is good. So I said between 30 and 40 hours a week.
and they get full benefits at 30 hours.
Yes. And the other thing we should think about is it used to be salaried. So-
Are you saying move to hourly?
It is hourly.
Oh, it used to be salary.
Yeah, so we don't have to put that in the. We don't have to put that in anything, but just something we should think about when we're doing interviews too.
Are there any civil service or fringe benefit implications of?
Only once you're appointed for. Only once you are either in the position for 2 years or you have permanent status for 6 weeks. So that's when you get your civil service protections.
But is there a difference whether you're salaried or hourly?
Oh, no. I think if structurally, if we want to assign more of that enforcement ability at times when we haven't had anything, then we might think about salary. But we can also stick with hourly.
You're still eligible for overtime, your salary, right?
So.
Yeah.
But isn't there an income threshold where you're becoming exempt?
Yeah, I think this,
50, I forgot what numbers.
I thought that there was, but I'm pretty sure that this position has that because it's what I used to make in my old job and I was exempt.
Yeah, I think it is.
I
So
suggest you
I'll-
check that with Mike.
I will, yeah,
Richardson.
I'll look into all of that,
Okay.
but yeah, I think just it's something we should think about. I put in that it's hourly. But I think it's something that we should think about and, when we're looking at candidates and doing interviews. So if anyone wants to take a look at that before like 10 a.m. tomorrow, if you have any feedback, I did put in like some of my own, preferences, which is, I said, we're seeking a dedicated, knowledgeable, fair-minded individual. Of course, there's the minimum requirements. I also put in that we are looking for someone with leadership and management experience. I would like someone who has, who is comfortable with preferred qualifications, someone who's comfortable with Microsoft Word, Excel, digital reporting tools. We use iPads in the field. Strong understanding of construction practices and code enforcement procedures and excellent communication and public service skills. So that's the liberties I took beyond the civil service description, if you guys are okay with that. Okay, so that was basically what I wanted to get. Does anyone else have anything else? Okay. So I'll post that internally and then it will go out publicly a week from tomorrow. We will have a closing date of May 19th. Then I think we'll vet. We might want to do a scoring of our top candidates, depending on how many we get, and then we'll interview from the combined top candidates that the board has reviewed. And then we will be aiming to conduct interviews sometime between that end of May and June 4th.
And is our comp comparable to other towns?
For the pay? I believe so. I can double check. I did put a range, but with what it currently is at the top end of the range. But I can double check that. Michael, did you have anything?
On that?
So, all right, so. Mary Lou, I have the highway abandonment and property sale. I had circulated a resolution last night. There's two resolutions that I circulated. So the first, so the context for this is that Queens Highway moved when the road got repaved, and there's a parcel that recently sold that's right up in front of where it moved. And so it turned out that there's this strip of town-owned property that's not the road that is in between the road and this parcel.
So this is the corner of Boodle Hole and Queens Highway?
This is, oh, I need to pull.
Rochester.
Yes, yeah,
Oh,
it's,
What is it, Rochester, sorry?
yeah.
It's like right just above Rochester.
That's where the fence is in front of the new house?
Is it the house down below, like in that dip?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Just one of those.
It's good to me.
Yeah, so
Want to look at that, Michael?
we have to abandon the road, and then the town can sell, or we have to abandon the road because it was the road. Then it's just town-owned property, and then we can sell the property.
Through an auction process.
No,
No, we don't have to go through an
we
auction.
can sell it, but it's subject to
Permissive.
permissive referendum.
And do you know how many square feet we're talking about?
Yeah.
It's 0.09 of an acre.
So it's 20, it's like a triangle, so it's 26.37 by 84 by 39.
But it's really of no use to anyone, including us, other than this neighboring property owner who would need it for access.
I've got stuck up there on a snowstorm. And had to leave my car parked right there. Till Wayne Keller called me and said, get your car out of here.
We did reserve 25 feet from the center line of the road. We're keeping so that we have the shoulders, and if they ever need to do any maintenance or anything, we have the strip that we need. So Zali, you should have room if you get stuck there again.
See me drive.
So
It's how many 0.9?
point 09. Yeah,
Right, but that's part two. Part one is abandoning that strip as roadway. So we still own it, but it's no longer for use as a roadway because for 6 years it's not been used as a roadway. The realignment took place in the early 2000s, I think. Kate, do you remember when that was?
I think it was 2007.
I think we also abandoned the other side of the road.
Yeah.
We did abandon a section, I think in 2007 to another neighboring owner.
Russ.
And transferred it to them.
okay, so this is the abandonment that I sent yesterday. Can we can move forward
I move
with,
that we abandon that section of Queens Highway.
so we will accept and approve the certificate of abandonment of a portion of Queens Highway and authorize the filing of same in the office of the town clerk.
Are you seconding that?
Sure. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries. So,
Okay, everybody has to sign that,
yep,
and then you can hand it to Kate, because you can't do the other part until everyone signs it and you hand it to Kate. And then it's officially filed.
you guys want to move forward with the sale? Did you look at the sale resolution?
Sure.
You did, or you want to move forward with it?
No, let's move forward. How much is it?
$1,000 plus attorney's fees.
Right, $1,000 attorney's fees, all filing fees. And it's also subject to them, I think I put 9 months to get it clear, the new property owner adjoining this little parcel with the parcel he already owns. So that we're not creating a little undersized lot.
Yep.
And if they don't go to the planning board and get that taken care of within 9 months, it reverts back to us.
Do you guys want that resolution that I sent for the sale is about a page long? Kate has it. Do you want me to read that into the record, or did you guys take a look at that? I did. Okay. So. You want to move forward with I'll make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the abandonment portion of the former Queens Highway.
Well, you've already accepted that, so what I'd recommend that you do is vote to accept the resolution as presented for the sale of
Yeah,
Queens, the abandoned section of Queens Highway to
yeah,
neighboring property owner.
I was trying to summarize the main points of it, but it's, okay, so I'll make a motion that the Town of Rochester Town Board accepts the resolution as presented by the town attorney for the sale of the abandoned portion of Queens Highway. Any more discussion?
Do you have to indicate? Oh, it's the resolution's presented, that's right.
So this is subject to permissive referendum.
It is, yes.
Yes, so Kate will publish this.
Is the abandonment, is it only the sale is subject? Or is
Only
it-
the sale, not
Only
the
the sale.
abandonment, only the sale.
Only the sale.
That's subject to permissive referendum. So after Kate publishes this in the legal notice in the newspaper, then electors, and I can't remember the percentage of a pretty large percentage of people who voted in the last election,
5%.
bring a petition. What is it?
5% of the governor's.
5%. Right, from the last governor's election. 5% of those people would have to sign a petition asking for a permissive referendum. Also in that resolution is that if has to be a permissive referendum, they're paying for that, because that's where the big expense would come in.
That's for any sale of town property? Is that why we have to do permissive referendum?
Yes.
Did I call the vote on that?
We didn't call it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries. We had a motion and a second, right? Okay. So it's 9 o'clock. I would like to just table some of these because we still have an executive session. Let's table the discussion item C regarding the constable trainings, if you guys are okay with that. So Michael, with the Charter Spectrum franchise agreement renewal, we received a counter response from them. We can table this until our next meeting, so the board has time to look at that more, or we can discuss what they proposed and move forward with scheduling a public hearing. You kind of felt like we could move forward, but
Why don't you give us a verbal update on what you did, and then we can decide whether we want to.
Yeah, what they did.
I can-
Well, they didn't just say no to everything we asked for. Some of the things like it's 15 to 10 years, they're fine with quarterly payments, they were fine with. They confirmed that they're still obligated to pay us, even if we don't have an agreement in place, they're obligated to the franchise.
Retroactive to cancellation.
Correct. They propose an alternate section that included some of the last mile language we talked about. I actually like the wording better than what was in the original franchise agreement. It's not last mile, but I think we can discuss with them options if we have scenarios where people need service. In terms of the biggest thing for me was confirming that they had completed, because the previous franchise agreement had build out requirements for Millbrook and Allentown section. And then they were supposed to build out another 4 miles of mutually agreed upon.
Without the density.
Well, mutually agreed upon, it doesn't specify that, it just says 4 miles. Their response back when we asked for confirmation that they had done mutually agreed upon, because we paid this build out last year, was that they built out well over that number. But for me, the question is, would it mutually agreed upon? Which I haven't seen any documentation to say that. So I think it's worth asking them. I think we can accept their recommendations that they provided us, or their recommended language. I think we should continue to push for that too. And if they want to negotiate on the length of that, we can say, okay, 2 miles, but I think we should have some aspect of that in the agreement. So I think it's worth asking them.
Okay,
I don't feel pressure. It's a long agreement.
Yeah.
I don't feel pressure to.
okay. Sounds good. Okay, so let's do that. I'm sorry, I think I thought you said on the phone that you thought we should. I guess I misunderstood what you're saying.
I'm fine with the language. I think it's worth asking.
Yeah.
for that.
Okay, and then one thing that we wanted to clarify too in this is that, I mean, we just paid $115,000 to close up gaps. So, like, I think that was kind of like, well, did you do it or did we pay for it? So we kind of want to see
Right.
what are they referring to? Because like, we did that, that check just cleared from like 4 months ago.
The second payment.
Mhm, yeah. So I will get back to our rec. Okay, so I have for this next, I do want to discuss the noise ordinance and just briefly review some of these other agenda items. I thought it would be helpful to have Mary Lou here for the noise ordinance discussion, just.
Can we call it an amplified sound ordinance?
Oh.
Noise, because noise implies, it sets expectations high for people who are in favor of it, and it oversteps for people who.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it. Some of the model laws that I looked at had a similar language. So I just, full disclosure, Michael and I did not prepare drafts to present to you guys tonight. So we, I think, both put that on hold for other things that we've been working on, but I wanted to discuss with the board the next steps. I think that we've heard a lot from the public, and one bigger discussion item, but it particularly for this, I think it'd be really important, is so backing up as a public body, a governing body, there is sort of, and Mary Lou, this is why I want you here, is that we do receive advisement, and Kate, you have also mentioned this, that in our regular business meetings, it's like resolutions should be resolutions, discussion should be discussion, public should give us comment, and that we really should avoid like back and forth question and answer type stuff where possible. But I think in this case, engaging with the public, I think is actually gonna be really important, given the amount of community interests that we've already seen. And so I wanted to, like, we can schedule like a something where we can have, I just wanted to ask you guys and also Mary Lou and maybe Kate, because you'd given me that feedback before too, is like, how do we have a question and answer session about this with the public? Do we just schedule that special? Like what's the best practice? Because
Yeah,
I
I mean,
want
you
to
can,
do that.
if everyone wants to be there, which makes sense when
Yeah.
this is, such a debated topic, you could have a special meeting for it, because I think just from seeing what we've seen tonight, and you said you had a lot of comments at the last meeting, I think you might want to schedule a special meeting for it, or you can, you can always elect to have a question answer with the public at a regular meeting. You certainly don't have to, but so it's up to you whether you want to do it at a separate night, or if you want to do it, on a Saturday. Do you want to do it at a regular meeting?
Okay.
But
So-
if you're all going to be there, it's got to be
Yeah.
a meeting.
Totally. So I guess with that, what is the board's feeling? Should we have something like that, or should we have something a little bit more intentional, like the housing forum events that we're having?
What was the like that? Doing it at a regular meeting?
Just having it be an open forum, just inviting the public, where we're basically here and the public is coming and wanting to talk about it. I guess that's the question, is like,
Well,
or do we have that and also be gathering input in a broader sense?
Would it be something where you would present all the commercial businesses in town, which ones have amplified sounds, would be giving like information to the public? Or would it be more just generally based, like question answer? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's what I think that's what I'm asking
Yeah,
the board, is like, how, like, if it's something where we wanna make sure we're inviting businesses, have some statistics about like use and this sort of thing, like we will wanna give more time. If it's something where we just wanna be able to have a space where the public can come and we can just have conversations with the public, we don't need as much time to.
I mean, I think we should. I wouldn't rush it, but I think that we need to give people time to give their input, including businesses that are
Yeah.
gonna be affected. And I don't know if anyone's spoken to any of the business owners that would be affected. But I think we also need to take the opportunity to dispel the talk in the town that this is a noise ordinance. It's really just this amplified sound ordinance. And I mean, I don't buy the slippery slope argument, because that's hyperbole. But I think that what we have to do is make it very clear that what we're talking about is amplified sound from commercial enterprises, including Airbnb type short-term rentals. And that the limitations on hours, if there are any, or permissive hours for noise are there. If they are, I forget what they are, where we left it on that. But I think we need to talk to businesses and see if they have any ideas about how to mitigate what is a community problem.
So I guess.
But there's got to be some teeth at the end of the day, because without the teeth, there's no way to enforce it. And whether people choose to, whether it's enforced or not is a different thing, but if the teeth aren't there, you can't enforce it.
Yeah, I think, Aaron, what you'd said before with looking for a code enforcement officer, this may be where weekends come in too, because often a problem in all the towns are when the noise is occurring, nights and weekends, they don't have hours then.
Yeah, we've
So
heard that.
that's something the board may want to look in, really talk about as well.
So I guess what one of the practices I'm trying to like implement is that we receive community input and discussion before we are like putting a law out for public hearing. So I guess I'm trying to think about how we wanna schedule
Just call it a workshop meeting on a proposed amplified sound ordinance.
and we wanna just make sure that we're inviting business owners and then it's open to the public. I think we might wanna have a little bit of structure just so that we're not, I don't wanna see this as
Yeah, an all out this versus them.
there's definitely like, it's definitely a, what's it called? A divisive topic. And we saw that between the two meetings,
But I think a lot of the divisiveness was because they were looking at it, many of the people were looking at it as a comprehensive noise ordinance, as opposed to something that's much more limited. And we tried to explain that, but I noticed in the comments it came back to, well, you might be limiting it, but it's a slippery slope, which is kind of like neither here nor there, because any town board in the future can revoke repeal or impose something, repeal this or impose something much more.
The other thing I heard though is a sort of like call that, are there other solutions? What are the other things that could be done that aren't being done that, we could, like one thing that came out of it for me is that I've talked to the code enforcement office. We're gonna put together a sheet of like mitigation measures that businesses can use on their own to just help. And they can just, I spoke with a couple business owners, I told them about some of the things that we've learned about, and they were like, oh, that's great. I had no idea that tool existed for limiting the sound out of the property line, for example, that could happen automatically. So I think things like that, where it's like, what would happen if we, started to both enforce approval. So there are things that were in some site plan approvals that aren't being done, and like what would happen if, those things were enforced and put in place, sound mitigation measures like green screening and these, some of the issues we've heard is like, yeah, if the if the business owner is doing all the things that is in the approval, is that the issue? Because one thing I heard too is like the call of like, well, these approvals aren't being enforced, so we need another law to enforce it. And like, that's not gonna solve it. So I think it's more about like, and that was another question I have. One of the reasons why I want Mary Lou to be engaged in this conversation is we have a lot of businesses that have stipulations in their approvals already, like Arrowwood, like they are approved for decibel levels. And like, I don't know if we can impose a noise ordinance that makes them close their concert at 9 when they can go till 11, So I think that's the other thing that we have to think about. And
I will look into that, because you don't want it to be a taking of their business.
Right.
And also the opposite of that, there are some businesses that have more restrictive levels, like 5 decibels.
Yeah.
So do the new things supersede that? Do we want to err on the side of more generousness or more restriction?
Right. So I think that's part of I'm very sympathetic to all sides. And that, I think that's also, I'm curious, I don't want to just have sessions where we're trying to convince people of something. But on the flip side, the request for a solution is also overwhelming. And, I think we have to do we have to figure something out. So, okay, so when would we have these housing forums, and so in terms of like, an event? Are we looking at June?
I don't agree with
I'm sorry.
you. I don't think we need an event. I think we could do it as a section of a part, like before a meeting.
Okay, sorry, that's what I mean. If you wanted to do it at the first set part of the meeting, I just mean in terms of when do we want to think about doing that?
Well, for me, I think we should have a much clearer idea of what we want to propose before we do that. So if we want to commit to spending time in the next regular meeting to like come up with a draft, then I think we could do it as early as the what month is it? May workshop meeting.
But isn't that getting the cart before the horse if we want to engage with like business owners and?
I think we want to at least talk about what fees would look like, right? And what, to
So
tell the businesses, this is kind of what we're thinking and get their feedback. Not without putting anything like really concrete down, but I think it makes sense to have at least some sort of thing.
yeah, so the question to me is, do we want to have a forum about noise, or do we want to have a forum about this specific amplified sound discussion?
I would limit it to the specific
Yeah.
amplified sound.
And I think if we just invite people to come talk like a forum, we're gonna get the
Noise.
other noise stuff,
Yeah.
racetrack stuff,
Right.
you know, people chainsawing, people
Right.
using leaf blowers. So that, I think we need to figure out if that's what we want to do. Do we want to just talk about the amplified sound, the proposed amplified sound ordinance? And if that's the case, I think before we invite people, we should say, this is what we're considering. We want to hear your perspective on it.
I mean, that's gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah.
Whether you have we have,
But it's easier to redirect the conversation when you
Right.
say we're only talking about this.
So it's 10, right, 10 decibels, whatever, only relevant to commercial businesses.
Like if we say we're open to ideas, then I think we're gonna get a lot more
so
ideas.
your proposal then is to finish the draft that we've been working on. Then publish that, ask people for feedback, and then have some sort of.
I wouldn't publish it. I would say that these are the parameters of what we're discussing. And that our discussions have been based on what we'd like to hear are ideas of how noise might be from businesses, how noise might be mitigated.
Yeah, I think we had the two big like drivers of that initial draft were, do we do general noise ordinance, or do we do something with a permanent process, or we do something hybrid? Like, I think we need to figure that out. Like, we need to make a decision on that. Just, okay, this is a general amplified sound ordinance.
And can I suggest that rather than drafting an ordinance and then calling people in, if you drafted bullet points of things you'd like to consider for the ordinance and get their input, and then you write it, because if you're writing a draft of an ordinance, place it forward, have a public hearing, because it sounds kind of like that's what you're doing if you have something drafted already. But if you want their input to help you draft it effectively, maybe you start with bullet points and say, these are the bullet points we want to discuss.
Or questions, yeah.
I mean, that's sort of what I prepared that document as here's the problem. And here's what we're thinking, we're trying to solve this problem. But I also, what I'm hearing is we can easily, in terms of you're expressing concerns about the scope of the conversation, I think we can easily put together a 10-question questionnaire, or I can easily do that and send it to business owners and have, one for public, one that's more commercial focused, one that's more public focused, that's about, going to, places that are frequented versus the business itself, and get a idea, because I think that's, a way to get a lot of input on the topic that we're discussing.
Yeah. I like that idea.
But what we're talking about is we wouldn't really be having any forum until June, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get.
Well, and it goes back to what you said, right? The first thing we can look at solving is enforcement of existing site plans.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and we were working on that, and I think if I do like a questionnaire, we have one up for housing right now. We can also put these solution, these like, some of these things, we can promote what I was talking about having with that too. Okay, so questionnaire, then, but at our next meeting, we should try to schedule something so we can start,
Yeah.
Okay. Whether it's at a meeting, like a regular meeting or not. I think we would need though, like an hour at least, because people really, people want to talk about this topic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're good on that. Okay. So can we then prepare to talk about the public events and town property topic at our next meeting?
Yeah,
We'll invite the
fine, yeah.
ECC. I will, like I said, we don't have any policies, but we have had a practice of they notify the town supervisor if they would like to do something there, like particularly, looking for, it's what they've said is like looking for species and.
Yeah, the one
scoping.
thing is that we're going to have a couple people down there in case anybody shows up for the Earth Day event. So we can just consider that notice for that, yeah, okay. We're just gonna go there and make sure nobody shows up and redirect them to the other Earth Day events.
Okay. And what was I gonna say? And then the housing forum events, so we have we have two scheduled, one is on this Sunday, the 27th. And then we have one on May 7th. Those are going to be interactive discussions where we have presenters from Patterns for Progress, Ulster County Planning Department. We have members of the community coming to share their stories. And then we have a lot of interactive input, both like issue and solution based. We have another town coming, zooming in to share the Southold community that has the real estate transfer tax. They both have a community preservation and a housing fund. So they're actually going to come in and present on their experience with that process. Huh?
We recorded.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So just that's the update on that.
Are we limited on how many of us can be present?
It's not a town meeting. We can't conduct business together. I think,
We can attend that, right? We can attend.
You can attend and sit in the audience, I think, but
We can all group up and.
it is a participatory event. And both Charlotte and I will be there. I do expect the May 7th might potentially have like more of a turnout. So.
Should we just make May 7th a meeting? And notice it?
Well, then we have to if people don't come, then we can't have the meeting.
Yeah.
It's being sponsored by the Housing Advisory Committee. They're putting the event on.
Yeah, and it's not a problem if we show up as long as we don't conduct business.
Or participate together.
No talking.
Talk.
You're telling me if
Listen.
I come, I'm not allowed to talk.
You can stand in the corner.
Quietly.
But
Nobody's gonna like.
That's
that.
gonna
You just,
That'd
there's
be
a very fine line if you're, it's the Housing Authority, which is one of your committees, right? And if you're all discussing these things, it could be considered conducting business.
If I come, I won't even look at anyone.
Okay.
I won't talk to you if you bring me chocolate.
Yeah. I have one chocolate bunny left.
okay, so
I admit I'm eating jelly beans during this meeting.
Michael, do you want to talk about this?
No, I mean, look, it's,
I'm ready to enter into executive session.
yeah, I think we have a draft. It's, the employees have seen it, the volunteers have seen it, everyone seems to agree. I think, you know, we'll put it into place at some point as a policy.
So the context, did you already share with the board? You've already said that you were intending to put some policies in place.
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay, so it is shared now with the board. You can take a look at it and we will consider that
Yeah, the history was,
at our next meeting.
there was a draft, it was reviewed with supervisor, with the employees, then it was sent to one of the reps for the volunteers. They thought it looked good, so it's basically, I think, we can put something in place just so we have a document that's a policy for that, and then we can change it as needed, but I think it's good to just have something formalized. So, yep.
And then I did not receive a 284 draft from the highway department, so they will get that to be ahead of our May meeting. So we do have to enter into a 284 agreement in order for any road work to convene. So that this is the action that allows the highway superintendent to actually do the work. We've budgeted for it, but the board has to have an agreement. So this agreement lists the roads that are being worked on and the manner in which they are being worked on. And I had said that it, you know, usually we just get it like right before the meeting. And I had said, you know, I think it would be really helpful if we had some context. So I did invite, you know, personnel from the highway department to join us, but they just weren't able to get it together in time for today. So, all right, so with that, I would like to make a motion to enter to executive session at 9:30 PM for the purpose of discussion of matters leading to the appointments of particular persons. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstain, motion carries. And Mary Lou, we do not need you for this.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Seeing you. Thanks, Kate.
You too.
Okay, anyway, so you get started.